There we go. But all right, we are live. We are live.
Yes.
We are live. We're starting all over again.
Hello and
All over again.
yes,
Hello,
yes.
Norma.
Okay.
Hello, Norma. Thank you,
Yes, hello,
Norma.
Norma. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Norma. Anyway, okay, today, welcome to today's live. Welcome to another exciting episode because Syl is going to read today for me because I'm in that phase of a bit lowish energy. It's not negative. It is not something happened to me or something. No, nothing. It is just the low energy and more of like my communication with myself is more obvious right now, and it is getting more internalized. I don't like to talk much, but still, uh, I'm in a good mood. And all whenever it happens, I always get more clarity in of intent in my life, more focus after that process, which is good for me. I tried to push myself in the past to recover out of it and just push myself. It never helps. So that is something I'm not going to push myself. Hopefully it is going to end soon, and I will get my energy back again to be more interactive. Okay, that is something I was keen to share with you. And yes, sorry for yesterday not being there. It was not intended to, but it
Oh, yes,
happened.
yes,
So
yes. Sorry to interrupt you. I tried because Norma had to change. You are. You are. This is where we are now, Norma. This is the second one. You are with me.
yes,
Yes, you are. You are. Okay. Brilliant. Brilliant.
yes,
Brilliant. Ah,
yes,
man, you're
yes,
you're awesome, Norma. You're awesome. You fast too. Dang, right. Norma's like right there. Brilliant.
yes,
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay.
yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So yeah.
Okay,
So you
so
were saying
so
about energy management, right? That's what where we. I was
yes,
about to say that when you said this before. Said, what you
yeah,
are doing right now is people say, well, why are you feeling sick? No, nothing is wrong. It is purely that you are paying attention to energy management. Sometimes when the universe, life, pressure, whatever force of circumstance tells you, so conserve your energy
yes,
and build up your energy. If you don't, if
yes,
you ignore that, that's when you get sick. Yes.
exactly.
And you did that,
Exactly.
and now you're not sick. You've still got a little ways to go, but this is what you are doing. You are applying energy management as per way of impeccability. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Norma says, Beena. Okay, I'll put in the exclamations there.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you. Thank you. It really helps.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
being
yeah.
there here with us is really
Oh,
helpful
yeah.
and
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very positive for us. It always gives us more
Oh,
energy
yeah.
and purpose to do that because
Oh, yeah.
when someone is interacting and
Yeah.
sharing, it's a big deal for us.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
yeah. Even, yeah.
uh, we love to, okay, I'm including myself into that, but we love to share. So
Oh, yeah.
and we love to share with Norma, of course, because she's there. So I assume her as a part of this process. For me,
Oh, yeah.
this
Oh,
is how it is going to be. It is not an expectation, Norma, but it is just something I just assume on my own accord. That, okay, this is something like, okay, Norma is going to be with us. That's it.
exactly.
For me, this is
Exactly.
how it is.
If she can, of course. That's taken for granted. Not as a must, not as an
No, that's why I'm
expectation,
saying,
but it's
okay,
an
it's not an
obligation.
expectation. I just assume that
Yes,
this is something, yes,
yes. I'm just
for
emphasizing
us.
what
It's a
you said
natural
because
thing.
I feel the same way, right? That's what I emphasize.
Yes, yes. Okay. So I was just sharing with Sil, you are done with all your
I
reading
am.
and all these things?
I am.
Okay. Then better just go directly for the reading.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I got one more thing to do, but yeah, I love this, and this whole point. I just want to emphasize this point about energy management. It's a very, very big deal. It's a huge, huge, huge deal, and not to be taken lightly. Not to be taken lightly. And it's a peculiar thing sometimes, like this. You've got to do what's right, and what you've been doing is because it's the right thing to do, but you can see no reason for it other than it's right. Correct?
Yes. Yes.
You have no clue. You have no clue why. And there's no obvious this, obvious that, and none of that matters. Absolutely none of that matters. Yes? Because you've got to do what's right. And you know from past experience that this is necessary and right. And that's a good skill to have. It's a very important skill to have. And it's something that's very important to be aware of, right? That we need to have this ability to do what's right, even if we can't see it. Yes. And it's not about gut instinct or trust. There's more to it than that. right? Yes, trust is there for sure, but I mean, trusting your
Yes.
gut instinct. It's more concrete. It's more real than intuition or gut instinct. Much more so, right? Oh, Norma says it's a holiday today anyway. Yes. In America, Easter Monday isn't such a big deal. The Friday is more important, at least from what I gather. But it's not a public holiday. When I grew up, both Easter Friday and Easter Monday were both official public holidays. So it made for a 4-day long weekend, which is very cool. Yeah? But not here. So it's just another day over here. Anyway, I'm glad you're here, Norma. I'm glad you're here. It's busy loading. Facebook is being a bit slow here to see the comments. All right, wait a minute. I can stop in the meantime. All right, all right. Beena,
Yes.
I did something which I'll share with you in a moment.
Mhm.
Come on, Facebook. I'm being tardy. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So it, yeah. Oh, just Norma says, just realize our hour is affecting the time. Ah, yes, the exchange. So now is the time. It's 6 o'clock by you, right? Or 6:15. Okay. So what I wanted to share is, Bina, this
Yes.
this was just the way it happened to be because for book two, I took the chapters, all the, well, at least articles that I had, all the Art Biellas, right, and I roughly divided them in two, and but then the number of words wasn't the same for each book. So I had to take some from book one and move them across to book two, or the other way around, actually, to balance the words out, right? Anyway, so it just kind of the way things came. But then this chapter, which is now chapter three, yeah, where does our applied learning come from? This was chapter one, but I thought, this is it's a tricky one for one. So I thought, I want to have a bit something that is a bit more connected. Yes,
Yes.
so this I made this one, which was chapter three, now chapter one, right? And so I had to find a different picture. I want the chapter one to have a Biella picture, right? I think it's important, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, so we'll change that picture, but still. All right, here we go. Positive bias. Can we use confirmation
You're
bias?
not sharing a screen, Syl.
Ah, oh man. Okay. Anyway, so I was saying this picture now, which is very nice for using positive confirmation bias, right? But I can I
Hmm.
can I can move it lower down, put it in the middle of the article. It's not that long, put it at the end maybe. But I want to be a picture to start, right? But I'm saying this was chapter three. I moved it to chapter one, and as we go through the book, we can maybe see that there are other chapter ones. In book one, that is, I want smart friends. That's chapter one. I thought that's a very good way to start, right? That's a great question, yes. And then because it's a question that a lot of people ask, but Biala gives an answer that's a really cool answer. That is not what you expect, right? Because they say, I want smart friends. How can I do that? Yeah, it's like a very direct advice, looking for advice question. But Biala turns it upside down. But this one, it's okay, but I feel there can be a better chapter one. So just keep that in mind as we read through these, right? And then obviously if this moves somewhere else, but anyway, we'll just start with this for the time being, right? By the way, just for anybody who is um, who does wants audio and author stuff, you can sign into Amazon, and you've got to go to their AWS services, and it's a whole rigmarole. But basically, you need to find Polly, Amazon Polly. It's kind of not easy to find, but once you go around, and before Polly was only 1,500 characters, or 3,000. They raised it now to 3,000. But if it's more than that, then you can put it in an S3 bucket. And okay, I'm just saying this for somebody who's roughly familiar with this. The point of this is that up to 100,000 words, I can get a file saved. In other words, I can get this to read like a whole book. Well, 100,000 characters. Well, all right, that won't be a whole book, but at least it will be, like multiple chapters or a long story. I mean, if you have like this one here now, this is probably less than 3,000 characters, right? So it's 361 words. So you can get Amazon to read, and they have lots of voices, and they have the best voices. And this for editing, this is what I'm doing here, right? So if I click here on this one, it was the last one I did last night. I click open, and you're probably not going to hear it now. Oh, okay. Anyway, but still, the point I want to make is that this is very cool that you can do longer audio than 3,000 characters. I used that long ago, and it's a big pain. You've got to do your and listen to it. But for your editing, it's very handy, right? So you listen to it, and hey, my screen go. And as it's read, you read your eye along with it. Yes, you'll be astonished at what you find. You'll be astonished at what you find. So this one has now been edited also, right? Yeah, Grammarly still this say dismiss now. All right, so let's read. I just want to get these out of the way. They do affect us. Grammarly has some limitations, right? And you'll see now. All right, can we use positive bias? Can we use confirmation bias to positive effect? Dear E, I definitely believe so. If done with appropriate awareness, the benefits are potentially incalculable. Then there's a quote. To confirm another's reality and then extrapolate and or interpolate provides more information. Wow, very mystical quote there in a way. To confirm another's reality. Wow. We have to see what that quote means. It doesn't quite tell us right away. Right. That's why I want this to not necessarily be the first one. This is quite a deep article, but maybe you tell me if it's good. You too, Norma. Facebook has just gone completely. So you have to share Norma's comments. I can't see them at all. Facebook is just a white page. It doesn't even have a way to refresh it. So I don't know what's on Facebook. So please tell me if there's any comments or questions from Norma.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right?
Okay. I'm good. Yeah.
I can't see. You can see on the screen here what I mean with Facebook, right? See, this is Facebook on the right here. It's where I normally have the comments. Just all
No,
white.
I don't see that. No, it's white.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you have to look on your computer for
Yes.
comments. I can't see it. It's all just Facebook is weird. All right, let's hear. So Biella says, if we are to learn from others by confirming another's reality and then extrapolating or interpolating, do our own attitudes towards them and or our
Okay,
attitude. Yeah.
sorry to disturb you, but just a minute, because Norma is asking about, can you tell us what we should look for and timing on Wednesday?
Okay, so on Wednesday, it's going to be an hour and a half earlier. Well, 2 hours earlier than now. So right now, it's what, 6:30 for you in the evening, right, Norma? So you want to be at 4:30 on Wednesday. And Norma's remembered Wednesday as the big day. Thank you, Norma, for remembering. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now I'm getting messages from from Norma. I can hear
No,
the ding,
no,
but
it is from Marketplace and I'm taking care
oh,
of it.
all right. All right. So yes. All right. So let's read again here, right? Uh, If we are to learn from others by confirming another's reality, this fascinates me. When I read this now, it's like, what do you mean confirming another's reality? I don't know what Biella means here. I have to see. And then extrapolating or interpolating, do our own attitudes towards them and or our attitudes towards life in general come into play? Still don't know what you mean, Biella. Do our life perspectives influence the learning? I would say a resounding yes. It's vitally necessary, I believe, for us to be supremely positive in this regard. Without the positivity, it's too easy to get sidetracked by stress. Our perspective can easily become skewed by negativity. Now, this, of course, can also happen with injudicious positivity. The key is to be positive about the overall long-term perspective, to maintain the focus on the understanding that it's good in the overall. This allows us to see the immediate and particular circumstance according to its own merits. Whether the person is behaving positively or not doesn't matter to us. We are focused on the good that will come from our observation, interaction, and perspective. Whatever is happening in the now is there for us to learn from. It's all vitally necessary for our understanding of the human condition. So far, I don't really know what Yella is saying. It sounds interesting, but I don't know. Overall goodness. As long as we maintain our chosen bias of insisting that it's all good in the overall, in terms of awareness enhancement, then we will see what we need to see. And we will be able to learn what we need to learn without the corrupting influences of petty prejudices or personal feelings, reactions, ego responses, etc. Yeah, very interesting. Very good. I mean, Biella. Yeah, interesting. The key here is that the goodness bias allows us to maintain perspective. It helps us not to become sucked in by the trivia and the temporary details. By maintaining a long-term universal perspective, we get to see things for what they truly are, lessons and gifts. Lessons and gifts specifically for us, for what we personally need and want to learn. Yes, what we personally need and want to learn. By insisting on goodness, we actualize the confirmation bias mechanism and we get goodness. Yeah. Did that make any sense to you, Beena?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, yes.
I was a bit lost on this one, I gotta tell you. Like I thought the question for me, when I think of yes, I mean a positive confirmation bias, I have to go and look. I'm sure I've got more on this that I could add to this article. Just seems very limited on the moreness. It's not what I thought it was. I definitely now rereading it again don't think it's a good start for the book. See if I can't get Facebook up here again.
I'm taking care of it.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to see the comments from Norma and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's here, so okay. Oh, I'll continue reading in a moment.
My communication with myself is more obvious. But now I'm just getting more into that. I don't like to talk much, but still, what is this?
Okay. Now I see them again. Now I see them again. Oh, it's always a pleasure, Norma. Always a pleasure. Norma says, I need to concentrate. I keep going away following your sentence. Where are you going to? Away. Oh, following. Oh, where do you go to when you go away? Where do you go to? Okay, so I like this picture. Yeah, we're going to chapter 2. Is false modesty a good thing? And I think this picture represents somebody who is confident about themselves, proud to be themselves, but not overly proud. Just got that little tiny bit there, right? They're confident, self-assured. They like themselves. They keen to do stuff. They're able to do stuff, but they don't have false modesty, right? False humility. So the question is false modesty a good thing? And now that I'm thinking of it, this would be better for chapter 1, don't you think, Beena?
Exactly. And I was about to ask that, okay, what do you think about this false modesty, a good thing or not?
Well,
Because
let's see.
because mostly people are not aware that they do have a false modesty.
Correct,
At least
correct,
this is what
correct,
I experience.
correct, correct.
They are doing it with a very good intent.
Yes, yes. Well, let's see what Biella has to say here. Yeah, yeah. Very cool, very cool. Okay, right. But so far, we'll as we keep reading, we'll look for. I don't want to put this one as chapter 1, and then we find a better chapter 1. But this one is definitely better than the chapter 1 that's there's now. So I'm not going to change it just yet, but at least we have this. Reverse self-importance. Wow, that's a good heading there. Is false modesty a good
Yes.
thing? Dear E, got two E's here, and this is not the same E. So sorry, E. This is a different E. Uh, we're gonna change this. It's not the same E as the other one, but I don't want the two chapters one after each other to be both to E. It sounds like I'm just talking to the same person. So I know this E, and they can be called B as well, so it's fine. It's their last name, so it's okay. Dear B, dear B, uh, I'm a bit cautious with the term false modesty. Typically, what is meant is a kind of humility or self-deprecation, playing down the self in some way. Yes, this is definitely better for Scott. But the inclusion of the word false can also be meant in terms of someone pretending to be modest, and that certainly isn't good. However, I am assuming that's not what you mean. Because again, if that is what they mean, then this question is just no. I mean, that's the end of the conversation. There's no point to ask the question, right? Like, duh, right? So that would not be what they mean, right? However, I'm assuming that's not what you mean. I'd like to come at this kind of modesty, mindset, or attitude from the angle of excessive modesty, as that makes more sense to me when it comes to how it usually manifests in behavior, and then in brackets, and most likely what the B means for this question. One would think there could not be such a thing as excessive modesty, but I do believe it's all too common, especially in those who truly try always to be good. Beena, do we know somebody that might have a bit of excessive modesty?
Yes.
We do, and we love her dearly. We love her dearly. Right?
We love him dearly also.
Correct, correct, correct. Right. But I'm just thinking of somebody in very no modesty, excessive modesty, not honesty, modesty.
I'm saying that modesty.
Oh, no, 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 no. Norma asked excessive honesty question mark. I don't think she's hearing the audio. Excessive modesty, modesty. There we go. All right. So it makes a big difference. Excessive modesty, not honesty. You can't have excessive honesty. Modesty, yes, right. So the topic, Norma, is false modesty. False modesty, a good thing, not honesty, modesty. Right? Uh, One would think there could not be such a thing as excessive modesty, but I believe it's all too common, especially in those who truly try to always be good. And this is where I said, do we know somebody who has excessive modesty? It's my enunciation, Norma. I shall try to enunciate with hot potatoes in my mouth. And then I practice it in elocution schools. And you speak really clearly. I'm a little rough in my speech. Anyway, it seems like it would be admirable to be excessively modest, but actually it's very limiting and restricting, as it limits action and doing, and thus learning and growth. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, yeah, this definitely is we're getting to chapter one material. That's a very potent thing, right? So excessive modesty. Are you with me, Norma? That it's modesty. Okay. Otherwise, then I can stop enunciating it. Oh yes, grin. Okay, she did it. All right, now you know. Yes, no modesty, modesty. And see, you didn't want to hear it because the person that I said that does have a bit of excessive modesty is you, Norma. We love you
Exactly.
for it. We love you for it. But that's why your ear didn't want to hear it because it applies to you, but in a positive way. In a positive way. It's your good heart. It's your good heart. But this is why this article is so good because Biella's being gentle here and sharing and saying, pay attention, right? Good people, right? It seems like it would be admirable to be excessively modest, but actually it's very limiting and restricting as it limits action and doing. Yeah, right? And thus learning and growth. Even worse, when one thinks it through, it's actually just another form of self-importance. But this does not apply to Norma, right? But for many it does. It's like we are saying, look at me. I'm so marvelously unself-important that I can hide all my talents and abilities and never ever show them to anyone. Now, this is not you, Norma. You don't do this, right? You share your talents. We see your poetry, we see your art, right? And you're not shy to say about your skills. Like you told me very good that you have very good, or at least you were very good, whatever you did in your life, right? Not shy. You're not this person, right? But the first part, but not this. And this I see, like here in Sedona, for instance, right? In that community, you see this very often, right? Where there's a lot of BS in this community. It's a very woo-woo community, and everybody's trying to shine in their own way, right? Trying to be cleverer, trying to be more this, more that, whatever. And they're all trying to be special in some way. And one of the ways that some of them choose to do is this excessive modesty, right? They do exactly this. Look how wonderful I am. So yes, man. They all want to be spiritual and more, but they have no clue how. So they get lost, right? Right. Look at me. I'm so marvelously unself-important that I can hide all my talents and ability and never ever show them to anyone. Which also means not sharing, says Biella. I love this. This is why I love these Biella. This, because this is what Biella does, right? She will just throw something in there which it's kind of a jump. But when you put it, she doesn't lay all the steps in between us. She trusts that you are going to jump with her, right? In other words, she's saying when people say this, right, and this in italics here, when somebody's saying something of this nature, by implication, the consequence to it is that they also stop sharing, right? I can hide all my talents and abilities and never ever show them to anyone. That also means not sharing, correct? Wow, just that jump there from Biella is just too fantastic. I love that. To me, it's just a moreness way of communicating. It's just fantastic. What prompts this? It could come from a very real and true desire to not be self-important and egotistical. Now again, another jump from Biella. She's not saying that. Okay, she said sometimes it's through self-importance, but can also come from people who are truly and genuinely deeply desire to not be self-important and egotistical. She's giving all the reasons why this could happen. False modesty. No, not false, excessive. Right? She's talking about excessive modesty and the reasons for it. So it could come from, yes, goodness. It could come from ego, could come from desire not to be self-important and egotistical, which is goodness. Or it could also come from fear of performance, of evaluation, of attention, of ridicule, and many more fears along these lines. Fear is often another way self-importance distorts us. That needs to go in my quote file. Right, Beena? Do you agree? Beena?
Sorry, yes, yes, yes.
The saying that is so powerful. That's just it's so casually in there. But fear is another way self-importance distorts us. We don't think of fear as being something that's connected to self-importance. We think of fear as being survival, preservation. But that's when your fear is related to your physical survival. But if your fear is about protecting your ego from looking bad, that's pure self-importance. Yes? Or
Yes.
negative
Yes.
self-importance. And that's just nope, 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 nope. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Biella isn't shy and has mega confidence and modesty. She does. She does. Oh, good, Norma. Oh, good. Oh, good. You do have honesty. You are wonderfully honest. You have lots of self-honesty, which is, you are. So it's not lots. It's not a degree. You either have self-honesty or you don't. Yes, and you do. And this is very precious. Very, very precious. It's a very, very important thing to have. Yes. Very, very important. Just catch up with the loves there so that I know what I've read. You see, Norma, that helps me when I click loves. Yeah, I haven't seen this one yet, I see. Fear of being noticed or focused on. Exactly. 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 So we have to be very cautious here. That's why I love this article. I absolutely love this sharing from Biella here because she's pointing out things. And like you say, I mean, she's doing it very condensed. I mean, she could write a whole book about this, but she's doing it very tightly, very condensed. This is fabulous. Uh, anyway, so let's continue. But this quote from her now: fear is often another way self-importance dissolves. We don't even realize it, right? Those fear of being
Yes.
noticed, fear of being focused on. It distorts us. It distorts us. It's a dreadful fear. But really, it's a very, very sneaky ego fear because we're just afraid of looking bad. That's it. We've been taught that you must never look bad. That's superiority paradigm nonsense. No, we don't want. Are these fears valid? They only seem valid if one places oneself and the actions in questions in the greater sphere. But that's inaccurate because our actions are very seldom regarded in that context. Where it matters is our own and perhaps the immediate connecting context. If our actions have value to us, then great. That's what matters. If perhaps, just perhaps, they might have value to someone else, then that's wonderful. A bonus. Whether or not they have merit or can stand up in the greater arena doesn't matter. It's where we are at in this moment in time and space. That's the truth and value which benefits us right now and here. Perhaps someone else who is at the same place or stage in their life will also benefit. Keeping the context in mind makes makes doing less of a problem, as now it makes more sense. I'm a bit lost again here, man. It's just a peculiar day for me. But we're under fear of evaluation. Ah, I see. Okay. Okay. All right. Talking about the fears. All right. Beneficial action. The benefits of action are many, especially if we come from the perspective of this is where I am at right now. Huh. Right? Feedback. We could very like feedback we get could very likely show us a new view on our action, maybe from an angle we hadn't considered yet. It's how we grow and learn. We have to get input from outside our zones, from beyond our conception, from outside our bubbles. Ah, this is very potent again. This is very potent again. That's very, very powerful, right? That we need to get that, right? We have to get input from outside our zones, from beyond our conceptions, from outside our bubbles. That's another quote there, right? We don't think of this as I have to, but we do have. Excessive modesty is simply a prison. It's usually just vain self-indulgence. If we were to act and do, and someone were to say, "You think yourself so," by implication, so fancy, so smart, so clever, right? Whatever. Perhaps we would then realize, well, so what? Very cool, man. It's understanding our motives which makes all the difference. Excessive modesty and the resultant lack of action because of it usually occurs because a compelling reason for acting cannot be found. Then the implied reason of self-importance presents itself. Well, if we realize, however, that sharing and giving of ourselves is always valuable to at least someone, us, it has a very good chance of being valuable to others who find themselves in similar situations. This slight alteration on oneself is all that's sometimes needed for a fresh look and then to acquire new and different viewpoints, thus moving on down the road of learning. Ah, ah, So I mean, yeah, right. I'm just doing a repeat back to make sure I understand what Biella is saying.
Yes.
Uphill Biella is saying that if you need a reason to act, yes, and when we don't have one, then we assume that the reason to act is because of our ego, make us look important or whatever, and we're so afraid of that. But Biella is saying, look, the reason to act and share, there's at least one person that's going to bid. That's me, myself. So that's the reason to do and share and act. But also, if you now do need a reason, just think that there might just be one single person that's kind of similar to you in the same place you're at. And if you need an external reason, right? And then just take that and move it along. Not that that's a reason to act in and of itself, but it's a reason we can use. So very, very powerful. Self-enjoyment. Traversing down the path of learning and growth sometimes requires brazenness as we experiment and try out new and different values, attitudes, beliefs, and perspectives. Uh, uh, the implications of this are really powerful. Yeah? I almost want to pull that as a quote.
Yes.
Wow. Requires brazenness. Let me read it again. Traversing down the path. This is a capital P path. Traversing down the path of learning and growth sometimes requires brazenness as we experiment and try out new and different values, attitudes, beliefs, and perspectives. Knowing this is what you are doing makes all the difference, as that knowing banishes the ugly specter of self-importance. Wow. Trust your own goodness and trust that you won't act from silly motives and thus act and do even when you can't immediately see why, like somebody we know who was acting and doing by not doing. The actions and doings will usually reveal the why, and usually that why is quite magical. Exactly what Beena was doing. Delighting in yourself and enjoying who and what you currently are is not self-important. That, I think, deserves an exclamation. It's just simply part of loving and enjoying the universe. Or are you not also a part of that incredible marvel that is the universe? Yeah? Delighting in yourself and enjoying who and what you currently are is not self-importance. It's just simply part of loving and enjoying the universe. So let's ask Norma this question. Norma, are you not also a part of that incredible marvel which is the universe? So we have to love ourselves. If we love the universe, we have to love ourselves. We're a part. Thank you, Biella. That's quite wonderful. That's quite wonderful. Except for this chapter, which not chapter, this subsection here. It lost me a little bit. It lost me a little bit. Yeah. Fear is another way. Fear of evaluation. Are these fears valid? What prompts this? Or it could come from fear of performance, of evaluation, of attention, of ridicule. And then she says, are these fears valid? They only seem valid if one places oneself and the actions in questions in the greater sphere. I don't get that sentence. Do you, Ina?
No.
You see, I'm a little lost there. I mean, I suppose in the greater sphere, well, greater sphere, I take it to mean like the overall of everything. But I think this, if one places in actions in the worldly sphere, worldly. It's a very tricky word to spell, worldly. Yeah, that's
Worldly. Yes.
yeah. You can't pronounce it out, right? In the worldly sphere, now worldly means like business and stuff like that. Then performance matters. I mean, how you do your job, evaluation matters, right? Attention and ridicule could really matters. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There it can matter. Of course, we need to get past it there too and learn how to deal with it appropriately. But still, it very much can matter. Performance evaluation, attention, ridicule, right, and fears. But that's in a very particular circumstance, right? But that's inaccurate because our actions are very seldom regarded in only uh, not even regarded but relevant. There we go. Now it makes sense. Yes.
Okay, so let's
Okay. Fear of
use it together
evaluation.
again.
Right. Let's take this right in the whole thing here.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
she's talking about the reasons for excessive modesty.
Yes.
Okay, let's since we haven't mentioned excessive modesty for a while there, let's put it in there. Excessive modesty can also, not could also. Excessive modesty can also come from fear of performance, of evaluation, of attention, of ridicule, and many more fears along these lines. Fear is often another way self-importance distorts us, kind of in there as one of those points, like which also means for sharing, right? But now she says fear of evaluation. Are these fears valid? They only seem valid if one places oneself and the actions in question in the worldly sphere. But that's inaccurate because our actions are very seldom relevant in only that context. Only. Right? These fears of performance evaluation, attention, etc. Right? That's a part of your life, but it's not the all of your life, right? So, and those we can't just uh, do this evaluation or pay attention to these actions and say, are they relevant in that context only? No, there's much more to your life than just the worldly context. Where it matters is our own and perhaps the immediate connecting context. Yes? Connecting to what? Yes?
Hmm.
That makes sense, Beena?
Yes.
Where it matters is our own and perhaps the immediate connecting context, connecting to moments. If our actions have value to us, then great, that's what matters. If perhaps, just perhaps, they might have value to someone else, then that's wonderful, a bonus. I feel this can be left out. I don't think this is actually pertinent or relevant here.
Hmm.
Yeah?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because by implication, it's bringing in this whole doing things for other people thing and helping others. The Boynal logic, which messed him up, right? Whether or not they have
Yes.
merit or can stand up in the greater arena doesn't matter. It's where we are in this moment in time and space. That's the truth and value which benefits us right now and here. Perhaps someone else is in the same case. Again, none of this is relevant here, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, Amma is asking, saying that she's saying that Biella wouldn't have these fears. Exclamation marks
No,
and question marks.
no, no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, let me share something with you, Norma. And just ask that question. Right? This wouldn't have these fears. Do you think this person has those fears? Hey, a bit ago. Huh, well, so much for my dramatic entrance there. All right, I'll do this another way. Wait, where are you? Where are you, picture? Here we are. Norma, if we ask
She's
that
asking this
question,
person.
this one that's showing now, this one. Do you think she has these fears? Or do you think she's dealt with them? She's resolved them. It's not an issue for her anymore. She's not concerned with what others think of her. She's her own person. She knows that she's not going to be foolish or silly or stupid unnecessarily. Yes, she also knows that she doesn't know everything, but that's not an issue. Ignorance is never something to be afraid of. It's just a fact of life. Right? She knows that whatever she'll deal with herself. Right? She's resolved those demons, and they're not that hard to deal with. That's what Way-of-Impeccability is all about. If you're going to ridicule me, that's on you. You might think I'm very funny. No, not you, Norma, personally, but I'm just saying anybody out there, right? If you want to make fun of me, there's lots of things you can make fun of. You can ridicule me even. But I know, I know internally, I know that what I'm doing is justified. It's legitimate. It has value. It has value for me. I feel it's worthwhile. You might think it's ridiculous, but that's on you. Internally, I'm my own person. It doesn't matter, right? There's not an objectiveness. There's not an objective standard we can say, but objectively, when it comes to what's important to me, that's my choice. So whether you might think I'm silly or not, that's on you, not on me, right? I'm not objectively being silly, so it doesn't matter. Right? And this is she has had a wonderful supported childhood. I don't know on this picture if I could say that this person has been through some difficulties in her life. He hasn't necessarily had it easy. But a difficult childhood is something to learn from. It's a gift. You have to understand that. But that's a long topic. That's a long topic. We'll get into that when we bring Sher on again. Sher had a very difficult childhood, but it's a gift. And she has come to see it as a gift, not a curse. We need to take those lessons and learn them. But here's the assumption. We assume that those lessons needed to be learned when we were children. No, that's a very poor assumption. They need to be learned at some point in time. When does it matter? Childhood, your young adulthood, late adulthood, at the end of your life, in the next life, in the previous life, it makes no difference when you learn them. It matters that you learn them. They are soul lessons. Soul lessons. Soul doesn't have time. Time is irrelevant. So we can't say this that, oh, I had this and that. No, you got to learn from it. You got to learn from it. Treat it as a gift and go back and re-look at your childhood as a gift and then see what you get out of it. Right. I will suggest this, Norman. It's a very big topic. This is a huge topic, and we could go for a very long time on this, right? But yeah, as a thought experiment, as just a thought experiment, just something to test and try and see if you get value, right? Assume, Norma, assume that you chose, Norma, you chose, deliberately chose the circumstances of your birth. Why did you choose those parents, that circumstance? Because you knew what was going to happen, what was likely going to come. You knew you were going to have difficulties, but you chose them anyway. Why? Why did you choose to have the parents that you did? Right? There's a good reason for it. Not nice necessarily, but good. Yes? Was opportunity. And it's a gift. So you chose them deliberately because for some reason that you and you alone know, you needed to be in that situation. Needed. Yes? Like for me, I had parents that were very consumed with ambition. So they were early yuppies before yuppies became yuppies. Yes? Ambition, status, self-importance, looking good, and all of this stuff, all this nonsense. It put me off that entirely. And to my great saving, yes. Fortunately, I was able to see that. And I could see later how some of my siblings did not, yes, and they chased this and it made their lives bankrupt, made their lives bankrupt. Yeah? It's a false logic to pursue. Yes, the same thing with my parents. Uh, my father was a very successful doctor, but he never could accomplish and acquire what he was after. Right? It didn't help him. He had it to a certain degree, but it didn't really help him much. Yeah, because I would have been lazy. Wow, exactly. See, Norma, we know this. We know that we have a deep laziness. And this is not, it's not a negative thing, simply a fact. Energy, if you, from a pure scientific point of view, energy seeks to conserve itself, right? And so energy doesn't like to expend itself because when it does, it essentially is committing suicide. You just take an energy bubble. It spends the energy, it dissipates, and then you got none left. Yeah. So energy, it inherently has this automaticness to conserve itself and to be used most appropriately. Energy is ridiculously precious. Once you spend it, it's gone. It's like time. Right? Time and energy is exactly the same thing. Once you spend it, once you use it, it's gone. Right? Now, with time, we don't really have that choice in terms of spending it. We spend it regardless. But on what? Uh, that's the question, right? So we're going to spend time regardless. But energy, well, we're also in some way going to spend energy regardless, just through being alive, you spend some energy. So we also, again, have to say, but on what, right? So time and energy, same, very, very powerful, right? Now, when we understand this about energy, it means that we are inherently, by default, automatically so lazy. That's what laziness is, the unwillingness to spend unjustified energy. Yes? We aren't lazy because we don't want to do things because they're the wrong things to do. Right? I mean, I can't go and do things that are wrong. That doesn't make me lazy. See, different logic. Now, I don't want to spend the energy on wrong things. I'm doing it because it's wrong. But laziness is because I cannot justify spending the energy. That's it. Yes. And of course, there are some things where, well, I really should go and water the plants. Will they survive if I don't water them today? Yeah, they're going to survive. I can do it tomorrow. See, I don't have to. Uh, right? And then if I now really, well, if they die, they die. So what? I don't care. It's my plants. I can let them die. Okay. I can justify that too. I don't have to have flowers. It's effort reward. So we have to be very careful with laziness, right? When you are doing things that are going to cause you a detriment really seriously and later, well, I have to pay my bill. I'm too lazy. Well, yeah, they come and cut off your electricity. Now you've got more effort. So then laziness becomes stupidity, short-sightedness, right? We have to be very careful with laziness. Very, very careful with laziness. So it's a very, very nuanced trickiness to it, right? And actually, it's a good topic for Biella. Um, So when we look at this in terms of, I want to understand this context in the question of your childhood. I said, assume as a thought experiment that you chose that circumstance of your childhood to be born into, and that you would have that. And I said, why would you do this? And you said, because I would have been lazy. Yes, we are lazy to learn. We need some pressure. Yes. So those circumstances of your birth, it's pressuring you to learn in a particular way. Yes. I learned in the most incredible ways because I had to. If I didn't learn, I would have suffered. I would have been in trouble. I would have struggled. It would have been miserable. Right? Thank you, Biella. Beena, Norma, just because you're here and I like to share with you. And not something I really want to share with everybody right now, but likely this picture is going to be the cover picture for book 2. Okay, just so you know, being let into it, into the secret there. No, it's not really a secret. I'm just having a bit of fun with it. But still, I don't like to share ahead of time until I've made the decision. That's what I'm saying. Most likely, I think you like that picture from your reaction there. I'm guessing. So anyhow, um, so this point about being lazy, Norma, we get our circumstances of our birth, we choose them because we know that there will be appropriate motivation for us to learn what we really, really need to learn. Yes, which maybe has been for a zillion lives over and over and over. It's so deeply entrenched. And we're not learning it the nice way, so sometimes we need to have it not so nice so that we can learn. Or other times it's just the next step in our evolution. But we're not even aware that there is an evolution. That's the problem. It's unawareness. So we need something that gives us a clue, right? Because you can't have awareness and say this is from awareness. Can't give you the answers. You have to figure it out for yourself. So we can think of the circumstances of our birth as this great mechanism to to clue us, to give us a clue. Hey, this is what you need to learn. This is what you need to learn. And we get stuck sometimes. Like I say, we have deeply entrenched things. And then life comes and it really presses us to learn this, us to learn this. Like, for instance, I see this very often with people who are, they buy into the fact that they are no good. Yeah. And they have to change this. So the life comes and presses them and says, you are good. And they suffer because of their goodness. But it's a way of proving to you that you are good. You're willing to endure suffering because of your goodness. The lesson is not about enduring suffering. The lesson is really about telling you, yes, proof that you're good. Yes, proof that you're good. Yes, proof that you're good. Look at yourself as an example, but take sure, because it's always better when you see it from the outside, right? This is a very important lesson that sure needed to learn. Now, Cher been through all this horrible stuff. I mean, I don't know if you were here when Cher shared about her early childhood with her father sexually abusing her and all of this stuff, right? Horrible stuff, right? And then her husbands later on, and it's a terrible story. However, right, Cher is not resentful towards the world. She's not resentful even towards men, which she could so easily be. Yes. She's not angry. I mean, she ended up in a very loving relationship, right? And her husband, he transitioned, right? But he needed to because she was in a bit of a lopsided dependency, or not dependency, but letting him do stuff and not claiming her own assertive self-independence herself. So another magical lesson. But in all of this, she was never negative towards men in the world and resentful and angry and all that, right? And why? That's just because she's intrinsically a deeply good person. So all of this is a massive, massive, massive lesson repeatedly over and over, letting you know you are good, you are good, you are good. Something we need to learn. It's very hard to accept that sometimes when you've had such a massive, massive, always you're being told you're not good, you're useless, you're terrible. And who gets told this? Think of it from a dominance point of view. You the feudal lord, you the BMN, you the whoever, right? And the people who want power, they're usually just not nice people. and they're very insecure. That's why they want power, right? So who are they going to say is not good? The ones they fear the most. That's who they tell are stupid and not good. The ones they want to believe that because they're a threat. If you truly are stupid and you truly are bad, point in saying that to those people, correct? You know who they are, you know what they are, and you can use them. They part of your non-goodness, and they like allies. The ones that you fear are the good people. So you tell them they're not good to make them doubt themselves and take their power away. Yeah. When we live in a superiority paradigm, it's important to understand that people will do these things. It's foreign to the good person's mind, but it's totally duh to the be a man's mind or to somebody who's all into power, dominance, and hierarchy. Like, well, yeah, duh. That's what you do. Yeah, they take it for granted. So it's a very powerful, powerful understanding. Yes, make sense, Norma? Make sense, Beena?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to read this paragraph again here from excessive modesty can also come from fear of performance, of evaluation, of attention, of ridicule, and many more fears along these lines. Fear is often another way self-importance distorts us. Are these fears valid? Well, fear of evaluation now. Are these fears valid? They only seem valid if one places oneself and the actions in question in the worldly sphere. That's inaccurate because our actions are very seldom relevant in only that context. Where it matters is our own and perhaps the immediate connecting context, connecting towards. If our actions have value to us, then great. That's what matters. Whether or not they have merit or can stand up in the greater arena doesn't matter. It's where we are. It's where we are at in this moment in time and space. That's the truth and value which benefits us right now and here. Keeping this context in mind makes doing less of a problem. And now it makes more sense. Yeah? In other words, when we just act in any case and our fears, this is what she means with the doing, right? That's clear to me. It's like I'm saying the obvious, but okay, I'm just doing a repeat back to make sure I understand it. Right? To say, the fear, it's a fear of doing, obviously, right? That's why we have this excessive modesty, because it's a mechanism to protect us from fears or whatever, right? At least we believe so. But now our modesty prevents us from doing. Now we can do. Yes. Okay, so that makes sense. Makes sense. Yes, Peter, makes sense to you as well?
Yes. Yes.
It's coherent. It's coherent. Would you like to read another one, or do you want to end here and continue what we were doing earlier?
No, please continue reading. I am doing.
Are you enjoying it? You enjoying it?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm actually very happy to hear. I hope you're enjoying it too, Norma. I hope you're enjoying it too. Norma says she takes one sentence and it takes her to another world. Well, she didn't say world, but takes her somewhere else. I'm keen to know where you go, Norma. All right. Inadvertent learning. Now, this was chapter 1. This is going to bother me, and let me just take care of this right now. It's so hard to do this dragging. You see, I dragged it and it went into the sub thing there. It's so fine. There we go. There we go. I have to just fix this. Otherwise, I'm just not going to be happy until I do. So, okay. So this becomes 1. This, yeah, it takes a second to do it. I just want to do it. You agree, Beena? Do it now. Later never come. Right?
Yes.
I like that quote. It comes from me, by the way. Very good quote, so I like it. Okay. Okay. So for the time being, I can always change it later, but for the time being, this is where it's at. Okay. And we read those two. Let's read chapter 3. Inadvertent learning. I cannot emphasize enough how important this concept inadvertent. It's put in a dictionary of power, but hyphenated there. It's not appropriate in the hyphenation for the subheading, but in your dictionary of power, it is inadvertent learning. Very powerful. power. Do you add these to your dictionary of power when I say this, Beena, by the way?
No, I haven't done yet, sir.
Okay, but do so. I mean, I have it open as a regular file, much like the draft. Just put it in there. I know there's some missing, but don't worry that they're missing. They'll get put in over time. All right, inadvertent learning. Where does our applied learning come from? Very interesting question, because it's hard to know exactly what it means. Right? The questioner knows what they mean, but it's not what they're saying necessarily. Yeah? But Biella knows, it seems, yes. It seems most of our applied learning comes from assimilation. Now, what is applied learning? I guess you could call this what we do. Yes, we've taken some learning and we're now applying it. That's applied learning. At least that's how I understand it. I'm taking it that's how Biella does too. Very interesting. Yeah. So it's again, I've never really heard this term applied learning. So I'm quite sure what it may mean in the just out there in the world. All right. Yes, it seems most of our applied learning comes from assimilation. What we believe and what we do is for the most part not a product of study. Well, nor resulting from deliberate efforts of attention and awareness, but rather what we believe and do are mostly indirectly or inadvertently acquired. Ah, our actions coming from social sources more than direct acquisition. Wow. Our actions coming from social sources rather than direct acquisition. The same applies to perceptions and values. Wow. Okay. Any idea or notion which seems valid is easily adopted if it comes from a regarded source. This is what makes Biella so powerful for me. She drops these things here that normally you would expect this to have a great lot of fanfare around it and a lot of supporting and build up, but she just kind of drops it on you. Any idea or notion which seems valid is easily adopted if it comes from a regarded source. It's a duh. It's a self-evident sensibility or self-evident obviousness. But yet we do this and we don't realize we're doing this. Yeah?
Yes.
It's the whole meme culture on the internet. That's what it's built around. If popular within groups regarded as like-minded or cool, there's value. Be careful, in other words. The actual validity doesn't matter much. You're getting smacked by Biella right now, right? I feel smacked by Biella in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, how? Like, okay, Biella, okay, yes, I'm a knucklehead. I hear you. My spirit is saying that, not me. Not me, not my ego. My ego's in its own bubble. My spirit is like, yes, my ego's a dunce. Occasionally, points come along which are apparently irrefutable. These are eagerly adopted as they give us a huge ego and image boost, even though they upset the status quo. These points are mostly adopted for the purpose of being able to throw them at others with the intent of, look how clever I am. This is possibly the universe's way of tricking lazy-minded people into adopting new ideas. Again, jump. It's not even a jump. She's like leaping from mountaintop to mountaintop here, right? Yeah. But I love this. That she doesn't treat you as foolish, Okay, did Julius Caesar's come? Oh, she said, okay, did a Julius Caesar? I came, I saw, I come. Oh, that's just most, most brilliantly genius. Yeah. Wonderful, Norma. So I'm assuming Norma has to go. But yeah, that's his famous line from Julius Caesar, right? I came, I saw, I conquered. I used to know the Latin for that. It kind of sounds good in Latin too, but I don't. Very famous line. Came, I saw, I conquered. Again, this is, see, again, what are we talking about? Assimilation. Yes. This is a famous quote. And what else is relevant to this quote? See how wonderfully brilliant your intuition is, Norma? Your moreness? Right? Now, what else is potent with this? What else did we talk about? So I'm just going to, I can't do multiple highlights, and unfortunately it would be nice to have this. But so what? Assimilation. Then we had deliberate efforts of attention and awareness. We've seen this quote, but did we apply deliberate attention and awareness to it? No, right? But rather, what we believe and do are mostly indirectly or inadvertently acquired. Does this apply to that quote? Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna show how in a moment, right? Just stick with me, right? So this sentence here applies to this Julius Caesar quote that Norma shared, right? Our action coming from social sources rather than direct acquisition. Our actions coming from social sources. So, in other words, our learning, right? And the same applies to perceptions and values. What is it that we have acquired from this quote that is not coming directly from our sources but coming from elsewhere? Yes. Any idea or notion which seems valid, this, this, it seems valid. Seems. Why? We'll see in a moment. Yes. Any idea or notion which seems valid is easily adopted if it comes from a regarded source. Where's the regarded source? Julius Caesar, a regarded source. Because of that, it seems valid. Right? Well, the source here, I do believe, is Herodotus. If we want to get really technical, the historian that wrote all this down, and he's reporting on Julius Caesar, but he's a historian. Right? Doesn't matter. So my point is, right, it's coming from a history, so regarded source, same thing. Right? Um, if popular within groups regarded as like-minded or cool, there's value. Now, this quote is regarded as cool by pretty much the whole regular, ordinary world. Yeah. Anybody who thinks cool is cool thinks that's cool. All right. Well, there we go. So it's got value to it. Does it have inherent value? We're never questioning this, right? We're talking about assimilation here now, making a point that Norma's share here is so powerful for exemplifying precisely what Biella is talking about here, right? There's value. The actual validity doesn't matter much. Now, right? Occasionally, points come along which are apparently irrefutable. Right? These are eagerly adopted as they give a huge ego and image boost, which are apparently irrefutable. This is an apparently irrefutable point of cool. Apparently. These are eagerly adopted as they give a huge ego and image boost, even though they upset the status quo. Exactly what the statement did at the time. Yes, it's very upsetting to the status quo. Yeah, but nonetheless, look, these points are mostly adopted for the purpose of being able to throw them at others with the intent of look how clever I am. Now, that's not what Norma did here, but when people do this type of thing, that's what they're trying. But she says this is possibly the universe's way of tricking lazy-minded people into adopting new ideas. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is so fantastic here because on two levels. On one, if we take this in the negative, I saw, I conquered. This word conquered. This quote is one of the quotes, and Alexander too, before Julius Caesar, which made this whole idea of conquering this great, grand, wonderful, fantastic, magical, awesome thing. When really it's just criminality on the greatest scale. It's terrible. This coolness of this quote is selling a really, really, really terrible idea, a terrible mindset, horrible. I mean, it's criminal. What is conquering but criminality on the grandest of grand scales? But it's now packaged as being something somehow special. Right? We grow up with conquering being one of the most positive terms there is. It's the ultimate of ambition. And it's regarded as a positive. Your ambition is to be a massive world scale criminal? Like, really? Right? But it's being sold as cool. Yeah? have to be careful. But, but, but this quote too, right? This is possibly the universe's way of tricking lazy-minded people into adopting new ideas. If we take this quote, from a spiritual point of view, right? And now I'm saying, well, I'm conquering my fears. I'm conquering my ignorance. Now conquering becomes positive. Yes? So I could say when it came to the internal world of myself, I saw, I came to my ignorance. I came to see my foolishness. I came to see my false modesty, my excessive modesty. I came to see my nonsense. Yeah. And I conquered it.
Yes.
You asked, Norma, if Biella has those fears of being ridiculed and being, evaluated and all this. No, she doesn't. Why? Because she went internal and she came and saw and conquered. She conquered herself. Right? Now conquered is positive. So you see the genius here. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to add you into the story. Norma? See, Norma, I love this. I love this. When things come that are so profoundly magical, yes, that they just get added in, you know, uh, just to one, just to one. Right. Thank you, Norma. That was very interesting. I mean, Norma was being cheeky in a wonderful way. I feel, and just being very 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 creative there. But Norma, your Moreness shared a very powerful point here, right? It's an example of a quote representing the severe negative and also positive of uh, when it comes to simulation, depending on context and contextual application. Contextual is this: I came, I saw, I conquered. Julius Caesar. Now, I'm not going to elaborate here, or at least Biella isn't, because I think that if you pay attention to this, I think you can figure it out. Otherwise, I have to add that whole explanation of when I did this to say how it is negative and how it is positive. Do you think it needs to be elaborated upon, Beena, Norma? Yeah. What do you think, Beena?
I think that okay, it is good to not just make it more that. Yeah.
Sorry, say
But
again.
I
I'm not sure what you're saying. Must I leave it like this or must I elaborate?
no, just leave it like this.
Okay. 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 All right. Okay. Uh, Unconscious assimilation. Points or ideas which are difficult to argue against are most prized. Popularity is another key factor. All of this happens to the individual without conscious thought for the most part. They may think when an idea comes their way, oh, that's cool, or something similar. But the points and ideas are just adopted there and then, usually anyway. When it comes to the acquisition of ideas and values, the same underlying structure is in play as product adoption and usage. This mechanism could be used to beneficial effect if cool sounding, sound biteable, and irrefutable points are popularized. If this is applied to points and perceptions which introduce new options for the individual and raise awareness. The mechanism itself doesn't matter and will eventually be irrelevant. How often are we guilty of inadvertent assimilation? How often do we simply subscribe to ideas without thinking them all the way through to the end, or purely because they are? Yeah. Very interesting. Wow, Norma's writing a book here. Do you see that, Norma? Beena? I see the little dancing dots over there. See there, the dancing
Yes.
dots, the dancing dots of
Yes. Dancing
anticipation.
dots.
I love them. I love them, the dancing dots. Anticipation. Anticipation. I feel this needs a bit of elaboration. I feel like you made such a wonderful point here, but I kind of lose you a little bit here, Biella. Yeah?
Mhm.
Or not? Is it just me? Is it my head just in a peculiar space today?
Maybe I'm already there, so please, you can't, we can't afford this. You just need to be staying.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel we both in that spot. Like I was a bit where you were too yesterday, and then it passed in the night. But I still have a bit of lingeringness to it. I have the
Yes.
ability to motivate and bring energy to the fore. But I feel this could use a little bit of clarity, yeah. But I'm not going to do it
Yes.
now. I'm going to do it now. Maybe while we wait for unconscious simulation. Yeah. Well, do I have to say points or ideas which are difficult to argue against are most prized and thus the most readily assimilated? I think so. I think so, right? I don't think I need this for capitalism. Okay.
Yep.
That we're talking about assimilation here, right? It's unconscious assimilation. Yes, I know that the topic is the heading is there. Popularity is another key factor. All of this happens to the individual without conscious thought for the most part. They may think when an idea comes their way, oh, that's cool, or something similar. But the points and ideas are just adopted there and then, usually anyway. There we go. Right? But the points and ideas are just adopted. I don't think they're just are adopted there and then, usually anyway, without awareness of their inclusion into self. That makes it a bit more dire and consequential. Yes, Beena?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When it comes to the acquisition of ideas and values, the same underlying structure is in play um, as for product, well, adoption and usage. I think I can just take this out. Yeah, I'm making the point that we use products and adopt them in the same way, right? Inadvertently, but I don't think it's necessary to say this here, right? So I just think to stop there at play. Just take this out. What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
Ah, no, Norma. I'm not obsessed with beautiful faces. I cannot get what I want without the beauty being as a byproduct. And I know and I know this is what it seems like, but it's not. I'm not trying to get beauty. I'm trying to get an exemplification of the qualities which make up Biella. Right? First of all, I mean, the most key quality that makes up Biella is she's a new noble. She comes from Nobelia, right? She's a product of Nobelia. She was that before she even got there. She just was all her life on that track. So that is nobility, real nobility of. Now, what does real nobility mean? It means also, in order to be actually have nobleness and apply it, you have to have profoundly good character, right? In other words, you have to have honesty, yes, thoughtfulness, discernment, right? That's absolutely crucial. You have to have an ability to see the greater picture, right? Because if you're going to be acting nobly, you can't be in a bubble of limited awareness. You need to be connected to the entire world in the universe. Therefore, you need to have attunement. In order to be in attunement, you cannot have petty fears, petty indulgences, trivial motivations and agendas. This is just not possible. Right? In other words, what we were saying about those in the previous thing, right? About those the fears, there's no way you could be having a fear of evaluation, a fear of ridicule. If you want to have nobility, that's just not possible because you have to do what's right. Not just do what's right. In other words, you have to be impeccable. You have to have integrity. You have to have patience and discipline and thoroughness and diligence and conscientiousness. All of that, but more, because nobility is bonus goodness. So you have to have a real sophistication of awareness. In other words, and I'm just starting. I could keep going with all the qualities that Biella possesses. To when you put that all into one person, of course they're going to be beautiful. Of course, there's just no way around it. That is what beauty is. Beauty is the representation of moreness. That is what beauty represents to us in some way. Moreness, right? When we look at what we regard as beautiful, and you take it in terms of character qualities, yes, right? Beauty represents, for instance, somebody who isn't fearful. That's ugly. Yes, they're not childish. They're not spiteful. They're not petty. Yeah, they're not snarky. All of that takes away from beauty. See, so when you remove that, you get beauty. No matter whether you have natural physical beauty or not, but that physical natural beauty, whether the person actually possesses those qualities or not, that what they look like makes it appear as if they might have that, right? So it is the visual, symbolic representation of good character, moreness, skill, power, ability, usefulness, value, goodness, kindness, gentleness. All of those, put them all together, you get beauty. Now, in some ways or another, you get beautiful. And again, if we take that picture, I'll show you other variations where you see a more compassionate version that's more beautiful, but I don't want it for the cover. I wanted that cover with those eyes that are saying, I am in control of me. And you can even put me in charge of your army or your company or your country, and I can handle it. I can take care of it. It's not a problem. I have the sobriety, the sensibility, the moreness to do this. In other words, I am very, very thoughtful and insightful. And in other words, if I'm looking at this from somebody who says, is this a person worth listening to? Yes, absolutely. Right. Where sometimes people are very compassionate, they're not always worth listening to. I love your compassion, but your compassion is so distorted your perspective that you end up saying this load of nonsense under the sun. That happens. So this is uh, well, Norma, I can't respond to your messages. I don't know. I thought maybe you just clicked accidentally, but otherwise I have to ignore them until after the open because I can't respond to them. No, I can't do them when I'm screen sharing. It's gonna be part of the open. So yeah, just stick to Messenger then. I mean to the comments. Yeah, it's confusing when you go on the messages. I can't deal with them privately when I'm on the open. If I'm screen sharing, I have to stop screen sharing, and it just causes all problems. So anyway, so what do you think? To get back to this, Beena, about when it comes to the acquisition of ideas and value, the same underlying structure is in play as for product adoption and usage. I feel this can go right.
Okay, before we go into the detail, I just want to add something here
Understand.
about that uh, that beautiful and beauty. You are after that. You have a particular idea of beauty, and you are very concerned about that. Almost
It's
like
not
okay,
beauty that I'm seeking. Just to correct
I'm just telling you. Let me
moreness.
finish that. This is the idea. Mostly we get from the because when you
Oh,
are very particular about selection of photos and all these things.
oh,
The problem is that cell actually never elaborate enough about how the moreness, awareness, and deliberate living affect physically
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
Because there is a particular thought, and it has so much detail into it. I'm not going to, of course, I'm not a expert into this, so I cannot share much, but at least just a brief understanding. If you have a tension, like really you are stressed about something, it is going to be first visible in your facial features. I have
I
been
see.
there, I know.
Ex-
And it is going to make you look like in a particular way, no matter how beautiful your features are, but it
Exactly.
will show, it will be visible there. And this is stress. Why the stress is there? Because the stress, you cannot avoid that, because you have not been working through all those things. It means that somewhere something is not appropriate, something is missing in your deliberate living, in your awareness. So that is something like we need to continuously, okay, I've been working, and it is going to be visible physically. So when someone is having like, okay, the way we hold our eyes, the way we hold our mouth, the way we hold our head even, it all tells a story.
Yeah,
It all tells a story.
exactly.
If someone is having
Exactly.
a stress, like I had that stress, why I was not able to deal with it, it means that I'm not there yet. It's not like, okay, it's negative, nothing negative, but it's a lack of awareness.
Yeah.
Biella is a character which is okay, almost zero. Okay, of course, the awareness is always more, but she is there where these little petty things for her, it doesn't bother her. So her visuals are not projecting these lackness. That's the real thing for me. What I understand from what Syl is okay, he was sharing it before. It's not about beauty in a particular way. Yes, beauty also. Why? It's not about any like okay biasness and all that. But again, the beauty comes from within. We all say that. Why? Because it projects our awareness.
Yes.
It projects our awareness and our deliberateness towards goodness.
Yeah.
So it's not limited to any authenticity,
Yes.
color, gender, or anything.
No.
Or like, okay, that the nose has to be in a particular way,
No.
or mouth needs, but it needs to show that there is no stress. Whatever they are
Correct.
doing and
Correct.
holding, the way they are holding themselves, just showing their deliberateness. That is something I understand.
Yes. Exactly. 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 And just for the record, Norma,
Yes.
visually, you are very beautiful too, as it's been. Visually, visually, purely, if I just look at a photo of you, very beautiful to me. Yes. Because I see the goodness, I see the moreness. Now, do I think that you're going to be a model? I'm talking about now. I don't know what you look like when you were young. I've only seen pictures of now. No, you're not going to be put up as a supermodel. See, but that's not beauty to me. Mostly, the supermodel picture is quite ugly to me, actually, because you see the vanity and you see the puffed upness, and in our popular modern times, snarkiness has been there, and you see those stupid lips that are whose idea of those Botox lips. This is just some ridiculous man's idea of beauty because it's dominance, power, poutiness. I know there's all sorts of nonsense that goes into traditional model beauty. Yes, no. So typical model beauty does not appeal to me. However, it does influence. And the art that I make, I'm utilizing the AI, the computer, and they draw on common perceptions of beauty. Now, in that picture that I showed you, I have gone through hundreds of them, Yes, and yeah, at least the lips are almost closed. But when the AI just assumes that I want what's typically beautiful, I don't want that. And a typical beautiful woman has their lips slightly parted. I don't know. This is, I guess, in some way sexy or alluring or whatever. It's not to me. I don't want it. And in the prompts, I say, please create a picture of a woman that's this, this, and this, with closed lips, mouth not open. And then in the negative, I say, don't include open lips. It gives it to me anyway. I can't get rid of this. It's very hard. So it's frustrating, Norma, that yes, this is very close, and I would prefer the mouth to be closed. And I even say no lipstick. I put in there, right? Uh, to say I don't want even lipstick on there. Yeah, and I said specifically, I said natural lips. So okay, this is all right, it's acceptable. But the reason this picture is important is because of the eyes. That's it. That's it. I mean, it's the eyes that matter here in this. Right? There's nothing else. So if you cover the rest and you just take the eyes, and this is important. And I had eyes on book 1 and 2. I may even crop this and just put the eyes. But there's a nice artistry to this as well, right? Which I like. So is this conforming in some way to conventional beauty? It's going to, because it represents the look that matters. This is a look of independence of being. This is the whole point and purpose of not just Way-of-Impeccability, but the Moreness project, right? The Moreness project, it's the self-expansion Moreness project. The full name is the Way-of-Impeccability Self-Expansion Moreness project, abbreviated to Moreness project. This is somebody who knows all about the superiority paradigm. Right? Let me do something here. Hang on. Let me do something. Okay. Maybe their nose. There we go. See? This is somebody who understands about the superiority paradigm. Correct? Now we take this out. Can you say this is a beautiful person or not? No, we don't know. Right? Yeah? We're just seeing the eyes. This is also somebody who understands about capital H hearing and the nuance of paying attention. This is somebody who ego is a non-issue for them. Yeah, they're not ambitious. They're not looking to be important, nothing at all. But at the same time, this is a person who does not have excessive false modesty or humility. Yes, they know who they are. They know they have abilities. They know they have competences. They know they have skills. Why? Because they've made an incredible effort all their life to acquire those skills and abilities and competencies and awarenesses and attentions and all of the things that go with, right? Their entire life has been spent on learning and growing, on personal self-development. The entire life, every single second, every single minute, right? So they don't have nonsense in themselves. They know this, and they're not proud of it, and they're not egotistical about it. It's just a fact of their existence. They're not dependent on anybody's opinion. They don't care about anybody's thoughts. Doesn't mean that they are ignorant of it, because if somebody's going to go and be stupid and really idiotic and go around spreading false lies about them, where it could maybe make a difference, they'll pay attention to it. But typically that's not an issue. They don't need it. But they don't care from a personal point of view. As a strategic matter, certainly, depending on the context. But personally, no, non-issue, complete non-issue. Very important to understand. So when we look at this in the context of the new nobility isn't a culture that is it revolves around nobility, but in order to apply nobleness to yourself and your actions, you have to have everything else. You have to have the absolute most impeccable character. You can't be full of nonsense. You can't have ego and pride and superiority nonsense, because that is compromising. Yes, you can't have ideas like thinking conquering is cool. That's a very shallow. Even if you're not going to go and conquer, but you can't think it's cool in the normal sense of, like in Julius Caesar's sense of conquering, right? You can't see ambition, being the emperor and all this. No, this is not something that this person thinks is cool. If you have to be that, well, that's sort of like bad luck for you that you have to be in charge. To be in charge is to be an administrator. And it's a horrible job, right? But of course, people see this and seek it because of ego. Yeah, just, oh, look how important I am. Look how wonderful. Look, everybody gets it. This is not this person to that. It's just nope, 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 nope. But what I'm saying is that when it comes to the new nobility and Nobelia-Living, it's all about having dealt with all the nonsense of character, all the pettiness, right? Getting rid of things like sarcasm and vanity and being better than and jealousy and all of the stuff. Those are all things they've dealt with. Then they've gone further. They said, all right, now that I've dealt with the obvious nonsense of the silliness, right, of ego, what do I need to go more than that? Because getting rid of of the negatives in your lives, that doesn't mean that you have positives. Like getting rid of debt doesn't mean I'm wealthy. Yeah. So the new nobility, Nobelia, is a planet where you not only come and you get rid of your debt, but you acquire wealth of being. What does wealth of being mean? Awareness. Is this person aware? Not just aware of what's going on around them right now, but I mean aware in life in general. Yes, absolutely. Correct? Is this person, do they possess discernment? Yes, very clearly. Are they able to understand things, understand life, understand people, understand motivations, understand ambitions, understand aspirations, the positive side of ambition? Yes, absolutely. Yes. Is this also a person who's able to apply and do? This is not an academic, correct? You can have academics that have awareness and discernment and understanding, but they don't have application. Yeah, it's the difference between the new nobility and academics. Camillus and Biella. Camillus is ridiculously insightful, but he doesn't apply it, so he gets lost. Yeah, it's a big difference. This is a person that applies, that does, that lives their moreness. It's not theoretical. Not well, theoretical is actually the wrong word. It's not hypothetical to them. Actually, it's real. Very, very important. See what I mean? So the beauty is simply it's a consequential factor, and it's also because I can't paint what I want myself. Yes, if I were to paint myself, I might not have the rest of the face be this way. But it's not the face that's important; it's what's inside. It's going to be reflected in the rest of the face. Yeah, because also what we see. I didn't even mention this in the eyes, but yeah, if we look at this face, we say, why is this beautiful to us? Because we're seeing a relaxedness. We're seeing kindness here. We're seeing gentleness here. We're seeing lovingness. Like this. We see it here in the face. Yes. And we're seeing it in a nose that's not an uppity nose. It's not a mean, nasty nose. See? We're seeing their moreness reflected. Now, all right, the lips here, they're a little bit still for me a little bit too much got into that libido side of things and allureness and temptation and all this. That's just the limitations of the software. I can't help it. Yeah. Okay. But we could say if this was a Biella, well, Biella's got to go out in the agglomeration and she's on a political, diplomatic mission. So this is helpful to her that, when she's got to deal with the BMNs of the different political things, that okay, a little bit of allure is very helpful to her. So we'll say, all right, she's put this lipstick on for out of strategic necessity. All right. Okay. See, this is somebody who is capable of doing that. When you look at it like this, right? And you say, is this a person who's strategic? Yes, absolutely. All right, her lips are here as a strategic point at this moment, right? But look closely at this picture. Look closely. Look at how the face is not completely symmetrical, right? This is somebody who's been through some tough times and who made themselves who they are. It doesn't just come about naturally because the face is uneven. It's a bit lopsided, right? See? Look at the mouth. It's not even straight. See? Not even straight. Like this face is a bit off to one side here. Yeah. It's a real person. It's a real person. The beauty comes from the character, not from the inherent physicality, right? If you were, and this is it's actual thing, right? with the supermodels, their faces are more symmetrical than others. And it's one of the things that we regard as beautiful. That symmetry, balance between the two sides. Very, very few people. I don't know even if the supermodels are truly 100% identical on each side. I think when they get to that, then it starts to become artificial. eh? It's very interesting how this all works out, what we perceive as beauty. But when we understand that the beauty is representing the goodness, good qualities, then we see different. Now, of course, our beliefs in beauty get distorted. Like men are confusing beauty with sexiness or allure or invitation or subjugation and stuff like this. That's not beautiful to me. That's very ugly. Sorry. So I'm keen to hear more, Norma. I'm keen to hear more. Does that help, Norma? Does that make sense? Why are my comments not showing the last comments that Norma made? What happened there? It's very peculiar, Norma. Facebook is being weird. I mean, there were extra comments there that I don't see, but I don't know. But I really wanted to make this point, though, that, when it comes to what I'm looking to represent, like in this picture, it's not regular beauty. I know Lisa gave me a hard time about this too once upon a time, and she thinks, oh, I've got this obsession with beautiful women. No, not at all. I've got an obsession with beautiful character. I focus on women. Why? Because men have had their time. And, when you see this in men, it tends to represent the other side of things. And we get that Julius Caesar conquering thing, and you see this coming out. And of the two, I'd rather have the negative of allure and prettiness and appeal, that corruption, than the corruption of strength and dominance. Right? Of the two, it's the lesser evil. But beside which, I like to come at things via the feminine perspective, because I think our world has so long been imbalanced with the masculine that an overemphasis on the feminine is appropriate in order to get the balance restored. Yes. I mean, I think our world would profoundly change if women suddenly were in charge. I mean, they're way more sensible than this because of that conquering ideal. It is so corruptive, that one word. It has for centuries now, millennia, dominated, right? Millennia, right? Julius Caesar's 2 millennia ago. And this comes from Alexander, which makes it another half a millennium. So this is a very, very big deal. It's very, very important.
Dominate. Right?
Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Beena, did I explain about Moreness?
Yes.
All right, no problem, Norma.
Yes.
No problem. You got to go. We're going to end now as well. Going to end now. So, all right, I am going to end here, please. Norma says, and I'm going. All right, all right. We'll take our cue from there. I just want to hear from Beena. That made sense what I was saying about beauty, yes? Yes?
Yes. Yes.
All right. On that note, we'll end. So
Yes.
bye-bye, bye-bye. Beautiful Norma. You are beautiful to me. Yes.
Yes.
In all ways. Physically, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, everything. Character-wise, I see beauty very differently. I'll give an example. Yes, just on a quick to end note here. When I went to the last 2 years of school, the Beverly Hills 90210 school, very sophisticated, where literally there were at least a dozen girls in my class that were cover models, like, for the equivalent of Glamour or Vogue or whatever, right? I mean, just objectively beautiful. But one of the first girls I saw had a severely hooked nose. I mean, I can't, with like a massive big bump like this, right? Coming out, massive, great big hooked nose. First thing when I saw, I said, oh my goodness, what a beautiful girl. The guy next door to me, are you nuts? Are you crazy? Like, what the hell? What's wrong with you, guy? He couldn't see past the nose. Couldn't see past the nose. She was a wonderfully beautiful person. Yes. It turned out later on, right? But she also had a reputation for being this great big bitch. I said, man, that's just to protect herself. I could see it. I had the skills to see past all of that. I didn't even know her from Adams. I just saw her, right? I had the skills to see past that. I've got incredible skills of perception in this regard. I'm just using it as an example. And because she was this bitchiness, because she was so beautiful inside. and caring and delicate that she needed to protect herself. That was a very competitive, very cliquey environment. Any sort of weakness was pounced upon. It's just ridiculous, right? But it turned out later she was. Anyway, she got rhinoplasty and had the nose job after school. And classically, in a typical normal sense, you could now see what I saw. She was ridiculously beautiful. But that nose didn't make no difference to me. Actually, I thought it was really cool. It showed a fierceness to her. So, actually, a lot of that goes into what I imagine Biella to be. Lindsay Rosen was her name. Yeah. So she said, this supposedly terrible bitch, right? Part of the tradition there in the school that on the last day of school, all the seniors, they put on a white shirt, completely white shirt, and everybody would write little messages on the shirt. You know what she wrote on my thing? She said, stay as sweet and sincere as you are. All she wrote. Yeah, this is from this terrible bitch, right? And at that time, she didn't have the nose job yet, the rhinoplasty. Yes. Stay as sweet and sincere as you are. I didn't get to know her as well as I would have liked. She wasn't in my class. She was in my standard, in the level, but not in my class. There were like 4 different ones. Right? But it's a point that I'm making. I see beauty very differently. I see beauty very differently. She was incredibly beautiful to me, a beautiful person. Right? Most didn't see her physicality, and they took this as they can't see past it. It's not how I see. For me, I see the whole person. Your physicality is just a part of it. Yeah. So I see all of your moreness when I look at your picture. Same with Beena, of course. Yeah. What it is conventionally, I don't care. So totally no regard. And I had this from young already. Also, I thought some people were really beautiful and said so. Like my friends were like, really? Seriously? What do you see that I don't see? They never really asked, which really fascinated me. They never really asked. Anyway, I love beautiful people. I love beautiful people. Most supermodels are not beautiful to me. I just say that. So not necessarily beautiful people. Big difference. And there's a wonderful movie called The Beautiful People, but it's about animals. He saw beautiful people too. That guy made that movie. His name is Jamie Ace. A wonderful movie. A cool movie. All right. On that note, we shall end it here as per the mourner's request. We'll look at the mourners later. Anything to add to all of this, Beena?
No, that was really beautiful what you shared. And I think that, okay, at some point, you need to go, please share in detail how this all connects with with the with the moreness and of course the visuals, not
Yeah.
about the beauty, because it gives a
Correct.
bit of like wrong perception, which is not true.
Yeah.
I know that, okay, at least this is my understanding. I know
Yeah.
that this is not a typical, a conventional, or any kind of criteria there.
Yeah.
The criteria is that the distresses, the way we hold our jaw, change a lot of things in our visual appearance and all that. So it is not about that. It is something that, okay, you can see that in people, and you have a different eye for that.
Yeah.
This is something I would love to know more about it. Please make the connected awareness available for all of
When
us.
you say more about it, what does that it mean? I want to be
Like
clear.
to explain that what you are looking and what you look in the person and how
Ah,
much it reveals
ah,
that, okay,
ah,
where they
ah.
are in their
Oh,
awareness
so
journey.
in other words, you want me to elaborate on my perception of others.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I will do this on the podcast.
Okay. That will be fun. That will be fun.
Yeah. In other words, what
Yes.
I look for is what's on the mind map.
Yes.
Wonderful, Beena. Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I will
Thank you.
explain more who and what Nobelia-Living is about, who appeals to it, what it represents. And that's what I look for, what I see in people. Now, is everyone motivated to maximize that inner beauty, moreness that I see, and I call it moreness rather than beauty. No, they aren't motivated to maximize. Those on Nobelia are. However, simply because you're not motivated to maximize it doesn't mean it doesn't exist in you. I see the moreness. Whether you wish to make more of your own moreness or not doesn't matter to me. I still see it. My eye is ridiculously trained to do this. It's a real skill that I have.
Yes. Okay. Okay, everyone.
Happy to elaborate on that skill, correct?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Okay. I just want to be clear.
It was a delay. Sorry.
All right, Beena, I will do that. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, Norma.
Thank you,
everyone.
beautiful Norma. Love you, beautiful Norma. All right. See you all tomorrow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. This was really great today. I had a lot of fun. Bye-bye, everybody. Beena already left.